Invisible Banshees? Is this a trick video? Nope, it's a speedrun, and I'll show exactly where I am and what the hell it's used for over the course of this video. Hi guys, I'm RC, and this is the 3rd level Halo 4 Forerunner on Legendary, all skulls on. So as you can see, all 13 of the skulls are on, and I'm on the Legendary. This is legit. This is in a single segment. This is without deaths or dying or reverts. There's no editing in this. And you can actually check the stats. They'll be in the description. This is basically mythic style, if you know what that means. So right at start, pick up a auto sentry. You start off with a hard light shield, and on legendary, on my guide on RCVGS, I said, yeah, this is actually kind of useful for certain strategies against the knights. But on LASO, you really do want the auto sentry because the hard light shield isn't really going to save you. It slows you down too much, and you really need to stay mobile against knights on LASO. So we're after the first tower. The whole route here is basically a mixture between rushing certain sections in a very pure speedrun way, and then being slower on other sections and sort of fighting it out, being a little bit more cautious. So this very first encounter with a bunch of crawlers is one of the sections going to rush. Exactly the same thing you can do on legendary, although it's a bit more dangerous on legendary. You do actually have a little bit more resiliency on LASO, which is good for you.
Those weren't the same things we saw.
Particularly your health against the Forerunner weapons. And since this guy comes and jumps on your face and ruins your shields anyway, trying to preserve your shields from that fight doesn't get you anything. And actually their animation is altered on LASO once you have the black eye skull. That knight usually just jumps to the side then teleports away. With the black eye skull, so obviously on LASO, he jumps to the side and then shoots you to make sure that your shield definitely doesn't recharge from when you punch him in the face, which is really nice of him. So I'm getting up on this little side here because it gives me a little bit of height advantage to try and take out some of these crawlers. And once I've taken out all the crawlers, this knight is actually going to advance all the way to me, which I find is a good way to separate him from the Watcher. And obviously the Watcher will put shields in front of him. If you want to use grenades, that'll ruin your use of grenades. So just going to find one last crawler, I think. There he is. They'll come up pretty close to you eventually. So I just want me and the knight, and then I can worry about the Watcher slightly later on. Will take a little bit of time. Oh, there he is. Now on LASO, specifically on legendary with the catch skull on, these knights get really obsessed with throwing grenades. So if you get them at that certain distance, they'll just keep throwing grenades at you. And once you get them in that cycle, then it's fairly easy to do what I did and run up behind them, and of course land the assassination. I didn't get it instantly because my timing sucks with when I was running behind him, and I think my aim sucks as well. But it's possible still to get in, land a melee, jump out of the way before they do one of the overhand sort of melees like the hunters kind of do. And this Watcher's being really annoying, flying behind the pillar, can't find him, thinking his shields are going to recharge. And I'm like freaking out, like, what are you doing? The knight was easier than the Watcher, what is this? And I've actually not even picked up the light rifle, but it doesn't really matter because I'm not actually going to use one. Because the next area is one that I'm actually going to speedrun again.
Can you tap into it?
I think it was pretty much Aura Soldier who was pioneering that sort of dance with the knights. That's certainly where I got it from. So if you stick to this path, I think this is the same path I used on my guide for this level on RCVGS. Pretty resilient again. Got my shields, most of them, from when I fought that knight. Taking a few pot shots with my pistol, which I've kept, and then there's a whole box of light rifle here. Just going to take a little pit stop, have a little breather, have a little think about what I'm going to do. Decided I would put an auto sentry there, use it a bit of a distraction from the crawlers in the center there. Peek around the corner, take out a couple of these crawlers here. Compose myself and then go for it. There's a scattershot knight to my left, and obviously he's got a watcher protecting him. Don't even want to think about dealing with that area, and there's like the 3 other knights from further back in that area somewhere. I don't even know where they are. I don't want to deal with all of that. And this is fairly safe, this is pretty reliable. This is not the part of the run that is hard at all. Decided I would pick up a scattershot. I don't actually end up using it, I think, but I just feel like I like the scattershot better than the bolt shot and the suppressor. Running over to the right here, again this is very similar to my legendary run. These cores still only take 3 zoomed in shots, 4 unzoomed shots from the light rifle. Be careful about that first group of crawlers. Their melees are very powerful. You don't want to get meleeed by them. You can take their little shots from their suppressor and bolt shots. That's not too bad. Even when your shields are down, you can still take quite a few. But you really don't want to start them meleeing at you, because it'll take like 4 melees of yours to kill them on legendary. All skulls on. You don't want that. Just approaching cautiously here, using the cover so I can get past. And again, I'm not going to destroy this one. And then I'm going to swing around the back of the area, go destroy the other one. Then I'm going to go up on top of the tower and then destroy this one that I've just bypassed, as this avoids 3 more knights that spawn in after you usually destroy the 3rd core when you're on the ground floor here. But if you're already up on top of the structure, they don't spawn. And of course, I like to avoid knights. I don't like to fight knights if I don't really have to. They're a bit of a pain, even if they are obsessed with throwing grenades at you. Funnily enough, the mythic skull usually doubles the amount of damage that objective items that you have to destroy have to take. So for example, the cruiser at the end of Pillar of Autumn and Halo Reach, and on the level Reclaimer in Halo 4, you have to use the Mac gun twice on those beam cannon things. Doesn't apply to these glowing orbs for some reason, don't know why. 6 shots versus 3 with the light rifle wouldn't be too much of a trouble anyway. But take what small mercies they give you, basically. Don't complain about it. So once I'm up here, I just throw a little grenade through the doorway that I can see. I should have 2 frags still, I should have 2 incineration grenades, and I should be able to get a couple of extra incineration grenades if I run out from a couple of weapon caches that are already up here. Now, I should point out that if you're trying to train for LASO, if you're on the lower difficulties like heroic, and especially as you go towards normal and easy, the knights getting obsessed with throwing grenades doesn't work as much. Strangely, it's only on the higher difficulties where they get completely obsessed with it and they just get stuck throwing it over and over again and get stuck in that animation. So they actually use their weapons a lot more on the lower difficulties, which is kind of weird, but bear in mind that you won't be able to practice that specific tactic specifically. That was a redundancy, sorry. On the lower difficulties, you'll just have to sort of practice the route as a whole. So, first of these 2 beam controls that you have to put down. And a nice little cutscene that you gotta, give a pep talk to your Master Chief. Like, come on, Master Chief, you can do it. Pull it out and then push it back in. And I have no idea what that did, but apparently it shut it down. Loads of ammo here, and there's another one exactly the same on the other side, where light rifle, scatter shot, and suppressor. And you're back to the hub world here. There are the auto sentries, 3 more if you haven't already picked one up. There's the Covenant, or well, rather the Storm faction, which wasn't really properly explained to you in-game, ever, at any point. Even more ammo to left and right. And this next area is another area I'm going to rush. Most of this level is a rush. I mean, it is a speedrun. It is the current fastest in the world. But we can't really consider it a world record because you can't really 100% verify it. I mean, I'm not lying to you, it is legit, but you know, if you can't convince everyone, you can't convince anyone, right? Jump onto these little spires. I think I got this from History 100. And then you can get in behind this guy's doing this animation, get shields back, because obviously been rushing that area. and still haven't got my shields from when I was destroying those 3 cores. Shoot at those guys, make it seem like I'm aggressive and stuff, and then there's another knight stuck in another animation, and just make sure my shields are back to full strength, because I'm going to do another rush. Couple of ghosts here. If those are unsatisfactory, there's 2 more by this crashed phantom. Rush by these grunts, and I always like to try and get these elites here. Didn't manage to get one this time. Don't stick around for it, like it's only a drive-by. Don't, make too much of a deal over that statement. Some more enemies here. Careful of plasma grenades. Careful of getting EMP'd. When I was doing a legendary guide for this, I got EMP'd there, and I was like, oh my god, and I had to like walk into this tunnel. A bunch of ammo in these corridors to left and right. Don't need it though, because this is where I'm going to use the Banshee skip. Just going to shoot at him, get his attention, drive at him so he dodges to the right. Again, hitting him, so make sure my shields are absolutely full again, because obviously people are going to be shooting at me. But again, on LASO with the Mythic and Tilt Skulls, you actually get an advantage in using vehicles. So you come up here, aim for that circle, and then you actually get yourself over one invisible barrier, and then you drive into another invisible barrier. So then to get around that secondary invisible barrier, I have to go really low and underneath it. Then I'm in the vast void beyond the playable normal space. And things get freaky, and there are unbuilt places, and my vehicle disappears, and then fog magically appears out of nowhere, and I can drive through solid walls. And then this is actually up to the second beam tower. And then just be a bit careful around here, because obviously this is a glitch. This is something you can also do on legendary, but it's not as easy because you take more damage. You have to come to the top of the elevator to activate the checkpoint, and then you can do the trigger the cutscene.
Cortana to Infinity. Do you copy? Come in Infinity. Interference is gone, but your suit's transmitter is not strong enough.
Move us up to the relay center.
Ah, finally.
Already done.
Now here's a funny little thing. If you get back into the Banshee and try to drive it through it, you just get teleported out of it.
On the satellite, there's bound to be a central control.
So here we are at the 3rd time at the hub world.
This doesn't make any sense.
Covenant heading to the satellite. You're also heading to the satellite, which is this big orb, which we know is also a cryptum where the didact is.
Good job, Chief. That'll do it. Shield should be down.
So this guy is really easy to hit out of the air, I find. And then I'm going to take out most of these guys. I'm just going to actually leave one, because obviously my shields are down for when I was rushing in the Banshee. And I'm going to rush the next bit, get my shields back. I was thinking, maybe I'll pick up some plasma grenades, don't need it. I still think the right is overall better than the left. It just feels safer overall. So rush the first part like I'm going to do, and then I'm going to be a bit slower on the second part. Quite a lot slower actually. Phantom comes in, destroys all the Prometheans, and then the Covenant is still sort of distracted and slowly moving up. They'll throw a couple grenades at you. Shouldn't be too much of a problem if you keep moving. Make sure you've got light rifle. You might be able to rush this area as well. I've seen a couple of people attempt that on just sort of normal legendary. Not seen anybody do it on LASO yet. As I said, this was the fastest I've seen it done so far. Just under 19 minutes. There's a jackal up there and 2 elites. That's where I want to head. That gives me a nice sort of safe area once I've cleared it of these 2 guys. I'm just being very cautious here because I'm getting towards the end, and I know that after this bit, the next bit doesn't have a very high failure rate, so I'm pretty much done really. I'm just going to take the bit of extra time since there's no world records in Halo 4, and just make sure I get it done deathless, don't have to think about it again. Because of Mythic, obviously it takes quite a number of shots to take their shields down with light rifle, even though it is the most effective of the rifles that you can use. Carbine takes about 3 clips, I believe. Sorry, magazines, not clips. Damn you, popular culture. Where is he? He's run away again. And there's another gold elite down here with a Forerunner gun. Also going to take him out before I go up there. And as I go up there, as you move about halfway through this area, then a Phantom will come up to the right side with Elite's gunners on the sort of little plasma cannons on the side, and they'll take out the Promethean enemies for you pretty handily. There we go, second Elite down. Just going to find that third one. There he is. Maybe take out our grunts, since they're going to have to die eventually anyway. Being maybe a little bit obsessive about killing them here. There's another little trick, you can jump on top of that weapon rack. Shields are pretty low, there we go. Now I pretty much think I'm done. Those Prometheans aren't very good at killing the Covenant. As I said in the Legendary Guide, the two sides in this area that you can choose between are themed. The right side, this one, is more like the Covenant are winning. The one on the left is more like the Prometheans are winning. And I still think the Prometheans are overall harder to fight than the Covenant. Especially when you can sort of take your time and use as much light rifle ammo as you really need. Just going to get my shields back, since he's stuck walking into a wall. I don't know exactly why. Now I'm not going to fight out the area here.
Chief, you need to hear this.
Just going to use a little skip.
We're detecting a slight gravimetric disturbance near the planetary entrance.
Can actually sprint jump over to the left here. That's close enough, that ledge. Maybe throw in a little crouch. Sprint along here.
Shooting from the opening. Hurry, Chief.
Couple of knights behind me, one knight beside me with a binary rifle. Don't just keep moving, you're actually safe. As soon as you hit X and enter the animation, you're actually completely safe. That damage will never kill you, don't worry about that. Skip the cutscene, big reveal, blah blah blah. And then you're done with all the fighting, you've just got a little escape sequence.
We've got to go. That Didact, he manipulated Infinity's signal to get us to release him. Get up!
What's happening?
So by the timing High-Speed Halo is going to use for Halo 4, and again no world records because we can't verify it 100%, this would come out as 18 minutes 52 seconds. That's from the very moment I gain control, full control, from the start of the level to the moment I lose control at the end, and includes all loading and cutscenes and stuff. It's just based on the video.
I'm going to channel energy
The
into field.
timer in the stats is really unreliable, and you can't even be sure that it's even the same game of the stats that they've given you and stuff, so that's just the way we're going to do it.
Keep going. Keep going.
And if you want to improve this, there's not that much room really, just more aggressive fighting in the first fight with the first knight, and in the satellite where you want to pick one of the sides and just go for it more aggressively. So here, this is pretty simple, pretty basic, like any sort of escape sequence. Keep in the middle, keep it flat. You can slow down. It's very much choreographed to make you think you have less time than you actually do. So, you know, don't worry about just taking a couple of seconds to slow down. Like, you know, some of these rocks feel like they're gonna come in and squish you, like that one, but it's actually gonna stop and wait for you for a couple of seconds. Don't worry too much about it. And don't actually run over any of the grunts. Their bodies actually have this sort of weird physicality to them. So if you run them over, you can actually be flipped over to left or right or forward or whatever. Don't want to do that. Just avoid them. So pretty much done. Don't crash into things, as another tip. That's one of the things you're not supposed to copy. Oh, by the way, there is a LASO emblem, and if you do all the levels on Legendary All Skulls on, and you can save and quit if you really want, you can unlock a LASO emblem for Halo 4 for your Infinity multiplayer Spartan. That's going to be making the rounds. probably, yeah, yesterday, today, this weekend and stuff. So I hope you enjoyed. I'm RC. Main channel is RCVGS. You've been watching Master RC. I'll see you next time.